We have a forum. Let's stand for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us start with public comments. Do we have any public comments? No public comments?
Did you want me to make this public comment?
Did you sign?
I was told that, yeah, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, normally you sign up, but that's all right.
Okay. Newcomer. So I've written a resolution.
Can you introduce yourself?
Introduce
I'm
yourself.
sorry. Chris Tucker. I work with Northampton County Economic and Community Development. And as part of my job, I've let the Board of Supervisors know my efforts are going to be to get better lines of communication between the towns and the county. And so this kind of kills two birds with one stone, because I've been tasked by the Board of Supervisors to figure out if the Machapongo Middle School has any viable use, which means figuring out if there's mold, lead paint, structural problem. And as part of that process, I'm going out seeking grants. And a lot of the grants nowadays only will offer regional collaboration, regional efforts. As such, I'm trying to get ACMAC on board, and I thought it would be nice if all the towns in the county also supported it. No monetary requirements, just a letter of support saying that you'd like to see something done with the property. We're thinking in terms of bringing the community kitchen idea back to life, finding a place for Parks and Rec to have some long-term stability, maybe inviting the community college down there. It's open to anything, and any idea is viable at this point. So part of this planning grant, we've already got the matching funds committed by ANPDC, and it's going to be for $40,000, I believe. And it's just to, the grant would really like to see us foster better business government networks as part of, which is why you see some of the wording in here. But as part of that, we also need a physical location, which happens to be where the middle school comes in. So this grant will be used to maybe do some mold remediation, do some studies on the structure, and hopefully get that ball rolling.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So a resolution, a draft resolution has been passed out to council for consideration, and at our next meeting, we will cover this, discuss it, and vote on it. I'm not going to ask you to vote on that this evening, but you have it now to be reviewed.
Thank you very much.
And by the way, this will help them in order in getting a grant. We do have a deadline of May 20th to approve or disapprove.
May I ask questions, Mr. Mayor?
Absolutely. Sorry.
Sure.
Do you plan on retaining the gymnasium?
We're hoping to, because
What does
without,
that depend on?
I'm sorry,
If you're only hoping to, what does that hope hinge itself on?
it depends on our budget, the county budget.
I mean, it exists now, it's not like you got to.
It does exist now, it's got roof problems, although we've had a cost estimate. I mean, that's not part of this, I'm just answering this aside. The cost to fix the roof was less than I expected. So that's probably an easy fix, but they also need to redo and refinish the floors basically, so nobody falls during basketball games and gets injured. There's a concern there, you get slick spots and tacky spots, and it's not the best. But if we were to lose that facility for public use, Parks and Rec would pretty much be sunk at that point. So that's part of the thrust behind the EDC of this, us going out trying to find grants. And we're hoping that this is just the first of several grants available. Most grants have, they require matching supply the matching funds.
Sure.
Thank you, Bert.
PA stuff on, Mr. Mayor.
Mine is, well, I don't know if it's on. Can it? No, it's not on. Can everyone hear us if we talk loud enough rather than
Some on.
I think it just wasn't turned on.
Person running it.
Excuse me?
Is the person running it? The power button.
Substitute clerk.
Okay. Thank you. You don't need to say.
I want to make sure no questions.
Yeah, while this is happening, yeah, no other questions? Fine.
Okay.
On now?
Yes. This
Fine. All right, look, I think everyone can hear us. Let's just be sure to talk loud. We'll get this fixed later, or figure out what we need to do to make it come on later. Okay? So I need a motion to approve the agenda format.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? I need a motion to approve the minutes that are attached to the. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion. Second.
Approve as.
Second.
Second. Before I call for the vote, does anyone have any comments, modifications, or questions relative to these minutes? On page 1, relative to the Kent wells, I thought we were going to ask for a plan for bringing up the wells. What water supply would we need? And I thought that was also part of that discussion. Is that, am I remembering incorrectly? Or does anyone else remember that? Say,
I thought it wasn't necessary at this time, I thought we were going to put it all.
yeah. I'm fine with that, but then why are we're talking about possible funding sources. Are we doing it or not doing it?
I didn't think we were going to do it this year.
You can finish the budget process yet.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. I believe there was a plan that was supposed to be asking for as well, relative to what could be for water usage. Does anyone else remember that or remind me?
I share your recollection, Mr. Mayor. I thought we had discussed that the two wells were increasingly showing salinity. We talked about that, and we upcoating and possible. Even in one of our presentations, they called it, inevitable saltwater intrusion. But it seems like to me when we were talking about spreading the withdrawal out to minimize any risk like that and improve the water quality of the community. And I thought there was plenty of discussion as that we needed to move forward in the near future rather than keep putting that project off.
I'm going to suggest we modify it in this way, that there was discussion relative to the need for these wells and whether or not a plan would be needed, a plan would be put together as to when we need them. Is that acceptable to everybody? Fair enough?
Mm-hmm.
All right, then in that case, are you ready to vote on this? All right, all in favor of Steve?
We don't have a motion on the floor, so.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, you just, tell me.
Minutes.
Approving the minutes,
Yeah.
yes. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
With the modification. Next order of business is the treasurer's report.
Page 1, cash. The total available cash on hand at the end of March was $1,622,979, which is a decrease of $82,248 over February. Total restricted or reserved cash was $1,466,959. That brings the total in all cash accounts, $3,089,939. There are no more debt service payments in fiscal year 16. Any questions about that? Page 2 with the fund balances. General fund, year-to-date revenue of $2.147 million, year-to-date expenses of $1.66 million for a net balance of $483,000. Public Utilities Fund has year-to-date revenue of $1.37 million and year-to-date expenses of $1.017. That should be million for a net balance of $353,000. The Harbor Fund has year-to-date revenue of $885,000 and expenses of $1.443 million for a net balance of negative $558,000. Breakwater grant receipts and town match totaling $478,000 pending, and that leaves a net operations balance of negative $80,000. So all debt service payments have been made, and we did budget a $107.9 thousand loss for the year. The Sanitation Fund had year-to-date revenue of $140.5 thousand, year-to-date expenses of $114.8 thousand for a net balance of $25.7 thousand. Capital disbursements, the total was $355,485 for March, and they were as follows. $347,433 for the breakwater, $2,042 in total for the Pine Street Waste Management Area, of which $1,465 was moved from wayfinding signage where it had been posted in error last month. There's $3,121 for the Plum and Mason Pump Station Engineering, $4,210 for the trail project, $101 for ads for the sidewalk construction, $29 for playgrounds construction parts, and $13 for the automatic flush system. We move on to tax collection. We've collected 97% of the budgeted property taxes and 104% of the personal and business property tax budgets. And we're at 140% of the budgeted prior year tax and penalty collection. And then the chart showing tax revenue over the past 3 years. Meals tax revenue has increased 20% over March of last year, and that's for February's dining sale. Transient occupancy tax revenue increased 44% over March. Sales tax increased by 20.5%. You can see that Beep Hole is lagging behind the previous 2 years. Many businesses have yet to file their returns. Jim went through and spoke to several of them, and they're just dragging their feet a little bit late. As of the due date of April 15th, the receipts were still lower than they should be, so we're researching and we're going to reach out to those who are late. Any questions?
No.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I'd like a motion to approve the treasurer's report as read. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Treasurer's report is approved. Next order of business is the Planning Commission.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I really don't have anything to add tonight's staff report, but there is an update on the timing for the next phase of the Harbor Bridge project. The Army Corps of Engineers informed us that the notice to proceed date is scheduled for Friday, April 29th. So that's the latest we know on the Harbor Bridge project. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer any questions about the staff report if there are any.
How long did that project take?
It's a 140-day project, and remember, the notice to proceed is the notice to proceed. It's not the mobilization date. That's actually the, to me, that's the date that's a little bit more important.
Do we have a mobilization date?
I have not heard back from the project manager on that yet.
So, I guess the question is, Excuse me? Memorial Day.
I'm not saying a date, and I'm not gonna speculate. I can't, I mean, this is not our project.
Right, 140 days from now,
Everything has to be completed.
it has to be completed.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions, guys? I mean, I'm worried about the season.
Well, has that been conveyed to the decision makers of when, how soon this project is starting?
Yeah, Councilman, last week, up until last week, they were still working with the contractor on wording for the contract.
Is there any way we can get input into that? Well, actually, I guess you have been giving input to
I've been mostly asking.
Well, obviously, we don't want this to interfere with the beach during the season.
Correct.
What are the odds?
Probably not good.
That's when it finishes, though, so it could be a significant part of the summer.
But I will say the last dredging, that term was probably somewhere in the 140-day range, the inner harbor. And they were gone in, how long was it, 3-4 weeks, probably a month.
If you think about the September dredging was, when it went to the spoil site, pipe was laid out after Labor Day, because we had concerns about that. But it was done after Labor Day, and if I'm not mistaken, the crews probably pulled out by the 20th of September.
Okay.
They'll be using the school site again?
Yes, yes, sir.
They don't know what it is.
That whole thing about the south side beaches is another conversation that's going another track.
Wasn't it originally supposed to go on the south, or the north end of the
Yeah, but it is, but there were two, remember, there were two easements that the Corps had for this project, the north beaches and the spoil site. There was early discussion about the south beaches, but they ran into tiger beetle issues, and to the best of my knowledge, that's still a point of contention. between the Corps
I'm not
and
sure
the-
that's, it was a meeting, you're probably aware of it,
I
there's some
am.
correspondence.
So we conveyed that back to the Corps.
Correct.
And how much sand is going to be put on our public beach?
About another 100,000 cubic feet.
Yards,
Cubic yards. Plenty,
too much.
probably.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go on to the rest of the departments and see what we're doing here. Yes, code enforcement.
Nothing yet, Mr. Mayor, members of council, if you have questions for me.
Any questions here? Looks like things are really moving along. It's nice. Thank you. And let's see, Harbor, next, please.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, busing of the fleet, looks like it went off very well. Estimated about 100 in attendance. Thanks so much, and thanks to Ron for helping out, and Jen for producing everything. And I have no other comments. If you have any questions.
With regard to blessing the fleet, I thought it went very nicely. Jen, thank you very much. Nice job. We got lots of that support from the Coast Guard Station as usual, so I think it was a good event.
Yes.
Any questions? Any questions?
No more actively going after the people who owe us money.
Yes, sir. Working on that daily. Having
Great results.
I think as best can be expected,
Okay.
yes. We're pursuing it daily. So, Mr. Panic, he'll have a better handle on that as well.
Okay,
And everything's being a success, so we're working hard.
good. Thank you. Okay, well, we're moving right along. Next is the Kid Charles Memorial Library.
I don't have anything to add. Are there any questions? Things are going well?
Plumbing's working.
Yes. Bathrooms, yes.
And the tween night was a good success, right?
But yes, and we have another one tomorrow night. We had 20 tweens at the tween night, and we're having another one tomorrow night. So if you have a tween in the house, please come. 7 o'clock.
It will be an opportunity to get them out of their hair. No, I'm sure it went well. That's good. So no questions? Chief Pruitt, Police Department.
Anything to add? No questions from me?
You had a record for felony arrest.
I think so.
Maybe we'll pursue that later. I'm a little disturbed with the charges. But no more questions from me.
Is that the actual count, number of people, or something get more
No.
charges? Why that lie? This guy down here.
Two on the same time.
Okay, so basically 3.
So it's 42,000 on the same person.
That person still in jail?
Okay, there no questions for Chief Pruitt? Thank you. Public utilities.
I don't have anything to add unless somebody has any questions for me. The park is moving forward. We ought to be out there in another week and a half or so, something like that.
I have questions, Dave, and I continue to ask questions. I asked last month because the water and wastewater figures were out of line again, and the answer that's in this report says that the figures were upside down. And then this month, there is a 2.6 million gallon difference between water produced and wastewater processed. I don't have any idea why, but I'd like to know why. I'm kind of losing a little bit of confidence in your abilities, Dave, because this utilities piece of this seems a little out of control to me. I'm very concerned about the operation of the wastewater plant in particular. And I'm not getting answers from you that give me any confidence that you know what's going on. So I'd like to see a 2-year summary monthly of water produced and wastewater total for the month. I don't, we had a hydrant flush that in the month that these numbers are for, so that's a significant amount of water that is wasted to the storm system, not to the sanitary system. So, I don't get it.
Right.
And I'm tired of asking the question and not getting an answer.
Well, I think I've answered it.
No, you have not answered the question.
Every time you've asked it, I've given you the answer. If we have a lot of rain, if we have a lot of rainfall, our water table is up well above our collection system. And so with that kind of hydrostatic pressure on the
Okay, show me the
system,
rainfall data too for this past month. I want to see that. We just spend money to fix the manholes. That was supposed to fix that. That was supposed to take care of that, and apparently it hasn't done anything.
well, it certainly does. I mean, every manhole we fix is going to help with the problem.
Aren't we supposed
there are
to
a lot
fix
of
them
there are a
all?
lot of issues involved with I&I, and we're not unique with this. I mean, anybody that has a collection system has got these issues, and we work on it, and we'll continue to work on
Well, I
it.
don't know what you're doing, but it doesn't seem to be working, whatever it is you're doing. going down to the capital projects, engineering for the Keck Wells, it seems to me that the notes under this thing are a little stale. So I started looking back to see, because the note says up to 3 months or so for permitting agency review of the 90% drawings and specs. And I look back, and I got tired of looking when I got to last August, the same note. 3 months, August, and 3 months don't compute to me. So what are we doing? What are you doing? Why aren't we either monitoring that or at least update the report?
Right, well, at this point, we're ready to move forward with the Keck Wells if we're gonna fund it.
That's not what this says.
Well,
No, so these notes are incorrect. Change the report.
anybody else?
Yeah, I had a question about the biofiltering lack thereof on Big Street.
Right.
This is the second time in just about a year, I think, that we go to, I guess, when you determine that the wood chips or mulch are accommodated, constitutes the figure filter has outlived its usefulness, the material gets removed and it takes up to 30 days to replace it. I strongly suggest that when we go to do this the next time, you have the new material in town, on hand, ready to put back in as soon as possible afterwards so it can perform its function. Why the 30-day lag time?
Well, I hadn't planned on removing it just yet, but we had a piece of equipment at the park that was ideal for removing. And so while we had a piece of equipment there,
That was a large front loader?
no, it was a little Bobcat. And so while we had it there, we went ahead and emptied it. We're not quite ready to put it back in, but while we had that piece of equipment in there, we went ahead and took it out.
Well, the function of that filter is to mitigate the smell.
That's correct. And we had some repairs to do on it. After we uncovered them, there were some pipes that needed to be repaired, so we did the repairs on them and we were able to put them off.
In the future, can we try to have the material on hand? This is definitely one of those proximity breeds contempt situations. If I know we go home at night, we go to where there isn't a sewage pump station without a filter, I presume.
Right.
Some of us spend a lot of time in and around that neighborhood, either live there or my rooms are there. So I don't think it takes that much strategy. I understand your convenience with that Bobcat, in my mind, doesn't offset the nuisance of 30 days with that plant with no filter, program crash approach. So, just put that down for, it seems to, it's happened twice in a row, so, I hope that we can have the filter material on hand before we remove it. A little extra, whatever, work with a different piece of machinery still, in my opinion, is warranted, so we don't go that length of time without the filter. And then I guess following up just a little bit on Steve's comments, I guess it's been several meetings ago, there was some proposed, fines that we thought we were going to have to pay this year because of the exceeded allowable levels.
Right.
Has that, have we indeed gone from proposed fines to actually have those fines assessed this year?
Yes. The fines have been assessed.
And what was the total amount of fines this year?
I don't have it with me, but it's in excess of $60,000.
I don't remember that figure.
Right.
$70,000.
I'm sorry?
70,000.
70,000.
So I have a few questions. Are you finished?
I'm finished, and I'll use before that comes up.
So I noticed that the phosphorus levels look, and nitrogen levels look very low. and I'm wondering how this compares to the same time last year. In other words, did we get better, or is this something that's seasonal that, you know, we would expect them to be low at this time of year anyway, because of temperature or number of people in town or whatever?
This time last year, we weren't as low as we are now, but we were low. We spiked in June.
Okay, so that, while this is good news, it doesn't necessarily mean that everything is fixed.
Well, everything's fixed, and we would hope that the numbers would stay the way they are.
That everything is going to stay the way it is.
Right.
So, I look further down, in progress, 2 mixers offline and sent for repair. So these mixers are still failing?
Yes.
So, what's the plan to get back, to get with the company that makes the mixers and figure out what the root cause of the failure is, so we don't have this happening again?
Well, the company doesn't seem to have an answer for it, and we, you know, there just doesn't seem to be an answer for it. You know, we send them out, they repair them, we're repairing, you know, we just pulled out 2 last week that, you know, we're gonna repair. They hadn't stopped working, we just pulled them out as a routine maintenance, and there was water in the oil, so Dan has, you know, he pulled the 2, he drained them, replaced the seal, replaced the oil, and it's ready to put it back in. We just got back, we got 2 that we had ordered, 2 new ones that we had ordered, that we put in their place. So we have all the mixers in the tanks that are supposed to be in there are in.
This is either a manufacturing defect or a design flaw. We need to go after them for that.
You know, these things are pretty much the standard for these mixing equipment, and nobody seems to have an answer for what's going on.
How many spares do we have now?
We have 4.
And there are 10 total?
12.
And how many can we have fail before we go out of control?
Well, you don't want any, you want all of them in place.
Obviously, but
I would say that we could conceivably function pretty well with half of them for a period of time, because half of them are in the aerated portion of the tanks, and the bubblers are active enough that actually does, you know, a lot of the mixing anyway. So in the aerated portion of the tanks, the mixers aren't quite as important as in the anoxic zones where there's no bubbling going on. So they're really the important ones, because that's where the chemicals are added also. So you want them to mix in those areas.
Okay, I don't want to take too much more time on this, but we have an engineering firm that is involved in this, and what are they saying?
Well, you know, they've contacted the manufacturer to talk to them and see what they can do. I haven't, you know, really heard anything from the engineering firm other than what we already know. You know, these are the standard. They don't understand why they continue to fail.
Have you talked to other municipalities that have had the same fails?
No, I haven't.
All right, I have no further questions. Does anybody else have any questions?
As I recall, last month, could have been the month before, but I'm pretty sure last month, you were anticipating a representative from the manufacturer or somebody coming that was going to kind of troubleshoot some of this for us and you.
Right. And he came out, he looked at the equipment, and everything seems to be operating the way it should. The problem with the equipment is that the moisture detector that's in the mixers doesn't really get the word that there's moisture in the mixer until it's really too late and the mixer is already failed. It's sitting up high enough in the housing that moisture gets in there, it's into the windings of the motor before it sends out the signal. the signal, the controls, the signal from the moisture detector is being sent, if it was sending it, it would be receiving it. It's not sending it just because it's not actually detecting moisture.
And the person that came out was the representative of the manufacturer of
Yes.
the mixers.
Mm.
And you relayed this problem to him, his reply and suggestions are what?
He says that it's a flaw, and what they're doing with the new
Excuse me.
mixers is,
Excuse me, he said it was a flaw? The guy that represents the company said it was a flaw?
right. And so the new mixers, they're putting this moisture detector in an oil-filled housing that's around the bearings. And so this is in a better spot to detect the moisture.
Well, this flaw, do you consider that flaw to be responsible for this year's $70,000 worth of fines this community
I
has?
think it's very, very likely that the failure of the mixers led to that
And
spike
in the
in.
previous 2 years as well. Is that the deal, that mixers are failing because of the flaw, and we're accumulating a fairly large total of fines as a result of not being able to meet state guidelines, limits?
Well, I think, yes, last year,
Dave, there's no question in my mind that is the case, but I can't prove it as I sit here.
Well, the man's admitted.
But the guy has admitted, exactly, the man has admitted, the representative of the company has admitted that there's a flaw in the humidifier which is supposed to prevent humidity from going in and keeping these mixers from failing. So we've been paying for new mixers on a much more frequent basis than we should have, and we've spent all these thousands of dollars in fines. And I want something from that company. We'll talk offline.
Well, I think that numbers, the fine numbers,
Excuse me?
probably, the number for fines is probably thousands, I would say hundreds of thousands.
Well, at least tens of thousands.
Well, there's 70 this year, there's quite a bit.
There's 40 before, so, yeah, but whatever.
All over $100,000.
Whatever. And this is, okay, we'll talk more on this one.
I had one last thing, change subject a little bit, lighter subject. The love sign, it's your crew moved it from where it was downtown to the location. I've had a number of people simply suggest that if that could be angled, so when you take your picture there, you're looking out at the bay and the horizon and the sunset versus the concrete yard.
well, we are, and every time we get ready to move it over there, we get a windstorm that piles up sand over there, so our plan is to move it back more or less where it was. Yeah.
That helps us.
No, I mean, and it's very easily moved, I mean, that's not the, it's not a, but that is the plan, to put it back where it has been before.
We're not against the concrete yard, but the horizon and sunset and the bay offer a picturesque memento for people visiting.
Any other questions?
What's the status of the search for Pete's replacement?
Joe, that closes tomorrow.
Sorry,
The ad closes tomorrow.
any applicants?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got some good options.
Thank you. Recreation?
I don't have any, well, I do have any. Does anybody have any questions? No. The Blessing of the Worms is this Sunday at 3. Please come out if you have never come out before. And it's not everywhere you get the Blessing of the Worms, so please come on out. And the summer session will begin May 5th. And I got a sneak peek at the agenda for their first session, and it's going to be great. So if you have kids, it's a good opportunity to get out there. They'll be focusing on worms and how worms help in the garden. It's going to be a good time. So bring your little ones and grandkids and really visiting at the time.
Thank you. Next item of business is the proclamation for National Police Week. And, in 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed Public Law 87-726, designating May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. The law was amended in 1994, directing that the flag of the United States be displayed at half-staff on all government buildings on May 15th of each year. Sunday, May 15th, 2016 is Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week of May 15th through the 21st, 2016 is National Police Week. In honor of all law enforcement officers, the Department of Justice Community-Oriented Policing Services suggests municipalities adopt a proclamation for Peace Officers Memorial Day and National Police Week, and staff has requested, sorry, I guess I skipped off, get back to that. Staff has requested adoption of Proclamation 201-60421 in honor of Peace Officers Memorial Day and National Police Week. I'll read the proclamation and then we will vote on this. In honor of Peace Officers Memorial Day and National Police Week, whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week, and whereas there are approximately 900,000 police officers, enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Cape Charles Police Department. Whereas there have been 15,725 assaults against law enforcement officers in 2014, resulting in approximately 13,824 injuries. Whereas since the first recorded death in 1791, more than 20,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty. Whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., whereas 252 new names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 123 officers killed in 2015 and 129 officers killed in previous years. Whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's 28th annual Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13, 2016. Whereas the Candlelight Vigil is part of National Police Week, which takes place this year on May 15th through 21st. Whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff. Therefore, be it proclaimed that the Cape Charles Town Council formally designates May 15th through 21st, 2016 as Police Week in the town of Cape Charles, and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the country. Need a
I make a motion we adopt the proclamation.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Do we need a roll call for this, Jen? We would do. Do we need a roll call?
Yes.
Let's have a roll call.
Natalie, yes.
Shannon, yes.
And yes.
Ryan, yes. Yes. The motion is carried. Chief Pruitt, thank you very much to you and your men for all your and your officers for all your service. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good job. Appreciate it. Next order of business, I believe I skipped this. Next order of business is the Cape Charles Trail Project Phase 2 update.
Good evening. I don't have anything to update you from the report, except that the DEQ has started to review the revised stormwater management plan. So the contractor cannot start any work other than establishment of some erosion sedimentation control features, because that's been approved, until the plan is approved and the general permit is issued. So we're still on hold for any land disturbance activities. That's all I've got.
Are there any questions?
Filter systems all needed in one? There's many more than one that feed that lake piece or not.
Yeah, but there are three on Washington Avenue. The one filter system will take out 0.59 pounds of phosphorus, and we only have to take out 0.4. So we only need one.
So 0.4 is June. I mean, what are the other two doing? The other two catch bases, they're just dumping straight in.
Yeah.
How much is, we have a price on filter?
Well, we do have to negotiate a change order to the contract, so I'll tell you, it's more than zero and less than 50K.
Or 0 or less than 50.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Next item of business is National Public Works Week proclamation. Public works infrastructure, facilities, and services are of vital importance to sustainable communities and to the health and safety and well-being of the people of the town of Cape Charles, and could not be provided without the hard work and dedication of the Public Works Department. Many times the work done by public works crews is taken for granted by the general public. The American Public Works Association annually sponsors the National Public Works Week to recognize and thank the employees in public works for all that they do on a daily basis. Staff requests council adoption of Proclamation 201-60421A, designating the week of May 15th through 21st, 2016 as National Public Works Week, and to thank the town's public works employees for their dedication in helping to keep the town of Cape Charles such a great place to live, work, and visit. Proclamation is as follows. In honor of National Public Works Week, whereas public works infrastructure, facilities, and services are of vital importance to sustainable communities and to the health, safety, and well-being of the people of the town of Cape Charles, and whereas such facilities and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works managers and employees, and whereas the town is thankful to all those who plan, design, build, operate, and maintain the buildings, structures, facilities, and properties essential to our people, and whereas it is critical that the people of the town are educated about and participate in the shaping of public works programs in the community, and whereas the year 2016 marks the 56th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Now, therefore, the town of Cape Charles hereby recognizes May 15th through 21st, 2016 as National Public Works Week in the town, and call this observance to the attention of all our citizens. May I have a motion to adopt this?
So moved.
Roll call vote, please.
Natalie, yes.
Brandon, yes.
Brandon, yes.
Mr. Brown.
Brandon, yes, I'm sorry.
The motion is carried. Please convey to all of your employees thanks for keeping this town in such great shape. Thank you very much. Next item of business is Building Safety Month proclamation. The International Code Council is the most widely adopted building safety, energy, and fire prevention code in the nation, and are used by most U.S. cities, counties, and states. These modern building codes also include safeguards to protect the public from natural disasters. Building Safety Month is sponsored by the ICC to remind the public about the critical role of our local code officials who assure us of safe, efficient, and livable buildings. The month of May every year is dedicated as Building Safety Month. The proclamation asks citizens to consider projects to improve building safety and sustainability at home and in the community. Staff requests council adoption of Proclamation 201-60421B, designating the month of May as Building Safety Month. Proclamation is as follows. Whereas our town's continuing efforts to address the critical issues of safety, energy efficiency, water conservation, and resilience in the built environment that affect our citizens both in everyday life and in times of natural disaster, give us confidence that our structures are safe and sound. And whereas our confidence is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, laborers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians, dedicated members of the International Code Council, use a government consensus process that brings together local, state, and federal officials with expertise in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect Americans in the buildings where we live, learn, work, worship, play. And whereas the international codes, the most widely adopted building safety, energy, and fire prevention codes in the nation, are used by most U.S. cities, counties, and states, these modern building codes also include safeguards to protect the public from natural disasters such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildfires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our community's largely unknown guardians of public safety, our local code officials, who assure us of safe, efficient, and livable buildings. And whereas building codes driving the growth through innovation, resilience, and safety, the theme for Building Safety Month 2016 encourages all Americans to raise awareness of the importance of building safe and resilience construction, fire prevention, disaster mitigation, water safety and conservation, energy efficiency, and new technologies in the construction industry. Building Safety Month 2016 encourages appropriate steps everyone can take to ensure that the places where we live, learn, work, worship, and play are safe and sustainable, and recognizes that countless lives have been saved due to the implementation of safety codes by local and state official agencies. And whereas each year, in observance of Building Safety Month, Americans are asked to consider projects to improve building safety and sustainability at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Cape Charles Town Council formally designates the month of May 2016 as Building Safety Month in the town of Cape Charles. Is there a motion?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Natalie, yes.
Bannon, yes.
Bennett, yes.
Aaron, yes.
Swindle, yes.
Proclamation is carried. Thank you very much. Jeff, thank you for your good work and for keeping this town safe.
Thank you.
Next item of business. Brent, you want to take us through that?
Let's see, Mr. Pan.
I'll give you a little bit more detail on where we are in collection of the accounts. It's been a long process, but we are making progress. As I noted, we've collected about $9,000 to date. There are a lot of actions in play. We have obtained judgments in the court against Jack Dyes, Greg Parks, and Dwayne Diggs. All of those will be difficult to collect. We are going through the action of demanding an inventory of assets to see if there are any bank accounts that can be seized or vehicles that can be seized. We do know that Mr. Parks has a federally documented vessel. We are going to request from the Sheriff's Office that that vessel be seized and sold. We do have a payment agreement in place against with Mr. Harrison. It's a large account. The $7,000 Patrick Hennessy account, that's the sailboat at Harrah, and we have obtained title for that. And the harbor master is cleaning it up, and we're going to auction it by sealed bids in the near future. I don't think it'll liquidate the $7,000 debt, but it'll be something. A couple of them are very old. The one in North Carolina is old, plus it's very difficult to go after somebody out of state. The The Greg Finney account is very old. In fact, that's beyond statute of limitations. And we do have the Pete Bender account for almost $16K. They're contesting it, and we have a court date of June 9th. So we are preparing filing due April 29th. And we're confident that if a trial does occur, that we will prevail on that. And then, of course, it will be difficult to collect on assets. These are the majority of the outstanding accounts. I think that totals somewhere around $67,000. There's another layer below that, 900, 300, a couple of 300s. We are putting pressure on those people. We have a couple of payment agreements that have one in process for a fellow in Salisbury. I'm just waiting for the signed copy back. And we have one for a $300 account that we just executed, a local person, gasoline. And Charlie is working out a deal with, I think, a $900 account for to pay it off with some services at Harvard. So this is a marathon, so we're still working on it. Any questions?
First of all, thank you. I think this is absolutely the right thing to do for a variety of reasons. Does anybody have any questions, comments?
Well, the last sentence says Harbor Masters instituted new management procedures. What are we doing new, and what work weren't we doing that got us here?
Well, I'll let Charlie.
Some things are different now than maybe 3 years ago because of the fuel prices are cheap, and it takes longer today to build up a deficit than it did then. What we've done is instituted a weekly billing, and we're handing the bills to the workers. And if you have an account that's outstanding, we're there with a bill in hand when they come for fuel, which we don't have any outstanding accounts. Everything's working great with the accounts that I've been working with.
If you have an outstanding account, I mean, just how much credit are we currently willing to extend? How far can we get in debt by charging fuel for these new procedures to help prevent?
It does allow us in a gallons limit. Right now, the software has a $1,000 limit on most accounts. We're looking at $500. So when these accounts are at $500, because the fuel price or the amount of fuel burning, because we're having to go farther, they're catching more crabs. These are the accounts that I've only had to work with. That are just new, and we set in-house a weekly, roughly $500 limit.
So once it goes either a week or above $500,
We haven't had
any credit.
We haven't had that problem.
But if that was to be the case,
Yes, we had to do that today.
on the 8th day, they haven't cleared their bill, or then you refuse fuel?
We would, yes. Yes.
So we extend credit to people up to 500 gallons of gas? Is that what
$500.
$500 for
Yeah.
gas?
The way the system works, it'll do gallons. Our fuel system don't work on dollars, it works on gallons, because it don't know what the dollars are until we input them manually. So it works on gallons.
But the point is, we extend credit to people for some of that money for a week.
Yes.
Is that standard practice for harbors?
It has been for years.
For all harbors?
For all harbors, yeah, for the most part. not for just anybody that comes in. Everybody that we've extended credit to has had previous credit and previous history with the harbor. And all of that history has been good. And I've gone through every account and made sure that that was the standard in the past. So, and
I was going to ask, I thought that for a lot of people, in order to get an account to pump gas from the harbor, they have to have a credit card on file.
yes.
Are you talking about credit beyond a credit card on file? Are you
No.
talking about cash people, or is there really a credit card that backs up this?
Yes, and every account that we've had, that they come in and extend, they not necessarily ask for credit, but they expect credit because it has been the history. We get an updated credit card on file.
That's different from what you're saying.
Well, that's in addition to. It is credit. We don't use their credit card unless we have to, and we have to. But that credit card is on file, and we're going to do that with everybody.
So the agreement is that if they don't pay, we debit their credit card?
And we haven't had to do that.
Okay, so the town is not bearing the risk?
I would say no, unless their credit card fails, and we have no way to check that prior to. You could run a dollar to see if their credit card was good.
Most of the time you issue credit, you bear it.
Yes.
You're right. Okay.
Charlie, I'm still not clear. I was under the impression that everyone had to have a credit card on file if they have an account with the harbor for gasoline. Are you talking about working watermen who don't have to have it, or haven't had to have it?
Everybody that I've had to deal with, we get a current credit card. Now, we've had a couple instances where somebody comes and gets a gallon of gas on their town account or even a small account where the date goes out. You know, a lot of people nowadays are getting new cards with chips, and they haven't updated their card on file. So we've had to build our account. We call them, pursue it. They come in and give us a new card, or we can cut their fuel off. But all the working watermen have been very, very good. They're in there willing to pay and pay. So, but we're staying in there every Thursday. We run accounts.
Thank you.
And that's everything that they owe. And then we work with pursuing with Mr. Panic all the other accounts. And we've had success, you know, as best as we expected. Because some of these date back to 2006.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I guess my observation is, why the town want to step in between the credit card company and the customer or whoever's asking for credit. I mean, by definition, they have 30 days or more credit with the credit card company. We feel just as out of goodwill for the town in supporting that type of activity in the harbor to get in between the credit card company and offer additional 7, 8, 10 days or some kind of way that they have to use their credit card.
And that's work in progress as far as credit card services and the expense. And that's because the credit card services that we use charge a 4.7%.
These accounts, I mean, how many hours of your work week is dedicated to running these reports and chasing them down as money?
Many.
Would they already have a modified credit card on hand?
We would still have to manage their slip when they're in and out. We still have to manage the fuel and the way it's entered into the accounts every day, no matter what. You know, when all of the other businesses, because we have vendors that come and purchase from the crabbers. We have to follow them and make sure that they stay.
And when you do your survey of other harbors, this is custom or standard practice?
Pretty much standard practice with the working watermen. Every marina that I've been to, if we're a transient, we pay right then. If we're not, most marinas will extend a week to 2 weeks worth of fuel, especially at today's prices, because that has a lot of consideration because it's a dollar amount as well.
I guess one other question I think, how many different customers are asking for this service? I mean,
Nobody's really asked. Like I said, it's
you're providing. I mean, how many situations, how many accounts are on the weekly credit? Is that 10?
Probably, while it's dwindling now, it was as many as 25. We had close to 25 crabbers, and in history as well as there's been many more. But you can look at their history on our records and tell, and I have looked, when somebody comes in, I make sure that they have a clean history, and they all do. Everybody will deal with one.
Thank you. Next item of business is application for harbor development, specifically at lot 19 in the harbor.
The application was received from the Southport Investors Group for development on lot 19 in the harbor. The development is proposed to be a small wood frame building which would constitute a dock master station to the square footage of 464 square feet, and new construction of a 160 square foot 2 stalls, 2 commode bath and shower house. This went before the Harbor Area Review Board on the 11th of this month. The Harbor Area Review Board questioned the applicant who was represented and got some more further information about the site plan to the extent that for lot 19 their immediate concerns were that the ramp on the dockmaster building be wide enough to accommodate a wheelchair, that the handicapped parking stall designated on the site plan be paved, and that a note be put on the
Hey guys, please.
a note be put on the site plan or the project narrative that states that the foundation will be blocked with a brick veneer. The staff report goes into detail of how the submitted site plan and narrative match with the criteria from the harbor area, from the harbor district and the harbor area review board certificate process. I'm happy to answer any questions about that. It's the lengthy paragraph that begins Article 3, Section 3.9. The harbor area review board unanimously recommended to town council that the application be approved for harbor development certificate for the dockmaster station and bathhouse on lot 19.
I'll take a motion for approval of the application for harbor development certificate for lot 19 in harbor. Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion on this? Being no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Next.
And next is 20.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, at that same harbor area review board meeting on the 11th of April, the applicant brought forth an application to site The Harvey building, the two-story roof frame building that's currently sitting up on jacks up on lot 19, to relocate that building on lot 20 for the purpose of, and this is to be permanently relocated on a block and brick veneer foundation for the purpose of a general mercantile on the ground floor and a temporary overnight accommodation apartment on the second floor for crews that come into the harbor. Again, the Harbor Area Review Board reviewed that application. The recommendation they had by way of for the next site plan, which is the same as the site plan is submitted for building permit process, that the handicap parking space also be repaved and that a landscape plan be submitted for lot 20. They also unanimously recommended that the council approve the application for harbor development certificate for lot 20.
We'll take a motion to approve application for harbor development certificate, harbor development certificate for lot 20 in the harbor.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Oh, excuse me, any discussion? No. Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is, any opposed? Motion is carried. Next item of business is USDA Rural Development Grant Resolution for fiscal year 2016-17.
You will remember that we submitted a grant loan application to the USDA Rural Development for grant funding and loan assistance to buy a new police vehicle, a tractor for public works, and a new financial management software system. It was, our application was denied back in September. However, they did reassess and did approve it in March. So this is a request to allow the town manager to sign all documents and that the town will adhere to the requirements for that loan and that grant. So the current interest rate is 2.875%, and it's a 5-year loan with an annual payment of $16,537. That's the loan portion of the grant is for a total of $40,000. So the first annual payment will be due in fiscal year 17. There is no prepayment penalty, so if we choose to, we can pay it off early. With that 2.875 rate, the amount of interest paid by the town, if financed for the full 5 years, is $6,685. So staff requests adoption of resolution 2016-0421 by roll call vote to authorize the town manager to execute all applicable forms required by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and Rural Development.
I have a motion to adopt resolution 2016-0421. So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? If there's no discussion, we need a roll call vote to authorize the town manager to proceed.
Natalie, yes.
And yes.
Bennett, yes.
Ryan, yes.
Wendell, yes. The motion is carried. Thank you very much. And then the next item of business is the Virginia Retirement System resolution.
Every 1 or 2 years, VRS, Virginia Retirement System, sets out through actuarial work what our rate will be for the year for the employee, the town contribution for employee retirement. And last year, we were governed by the 2013 Appropriation Act, and that required us to select by resolution which of the two choices we were offered. This new, there was an amendment in 2016 Appropriation Act, item 475I. So for contribution rates effective July 1st, this upcoming fiscal year, the certified rate will be the default rate. And so the town will only need to pass by resolution if you choose the alternate rate. And I'm sorry, I made an error. That 4.17 should actually be 4.49, both in the middle of that paragraph and in the very last line, which says no action is required if council elects the default rate of 4.49%.
So let me understand this. What we have to do is say thank you very much. You sit down and you're done. You don't need a motion if we decide to go with the 4.49.
Correct.
Is there any discussion on this? There's no discussion, thank you very much, and we're good to go. Next, we have mayor and council comments. Does anyone in the council have any comments to make?
I wanted to mention that the candidates forum is next Wednesday at 7 o'clock here in the Civic Center. And I encourage all citizens who are of voting age to attend. And don't forget about the blessing of the worms on Sunday at 3 o'clock.
Let us not forget the laws. Very important. I have no comment. Excuse me. I have no comments either. Just a few announcements. April 26th, my office hours from 6 to 7. Sorry.
Mayor's office hours 6 to 7 on the 26th. On the 28th, Town Council Budget Workshop at 6 o'clock here. May 5th, Town Council Budget Work Session at 6 p.m. May 10th, Mayor's office hours 2 to 3 at the Civic Center. May 12th, Town Council Work Session 6 p.m. tentative. May 19th, Town Council regular meeting at 6 p.m. And May 24th, Mayor office hours 6 to 7 p.m.
Thank you. Yes, please.
There may be an amendment to this announcements list. I believe April 28th, we may be having a work session as opposed to a budget work session, which will then kick us into the next budget work session being that of May 5th, 2016 at 6 p.m. But we will be getting out those prior to the work session of next Thursday.
I think we're finished. I have a motion to have a roll